Captain Frank Miller stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, his heart beating faster than usual. This was the moment humanity had waited for. First contact with the Galactic Council. After decades of searching the stars, humans were finally meeting aliens face to face. "All systems ready, Captain," said Lieutenant Kate Howard from her station. Her voice was steady, but Frank could see the excitement in her eyes. "Take us in, Lieutenant." "Nice and easy," Frank said. The sleek diplomatic vessel moved smoothly toward the meeting point, just beyond Mars' orbit. The alien ships appeared suddenly. They did not use any form of jump drive known to humans. One moment empty space, the next moment 5 massive ships with strange glowing lines across their hulls. The largest was at least 20 times the size of the Horizon. "My God," whispered Eric Taylor, the ship's lead scientist. "Their technology must be centuries ahead of ours." Admiral Susan Grant, Earth's military representative, narrowed her eyes. "Don't look impressed, everyone. Remember your training. We represent all of humanity today." The main screen lit up with the faces of the aliens. 3 different species sat in what looked like a council chamber. The ones in the middle had blue skin and large black eyes. Those on the left were insect-like with multiple arms. The right side held reptilian beings with scaled faces. "Greetings from the Galactic Council," said the blue alien in perfect English. "I am High Counselor Vex of the Silurians. We welcome Earth to the galactic community." Frank stepped forward. "On behalf of the United Earth Government, we thank you for this historic meeting." The talks went on for hours. The aliens explained their council ruled over 300 star systems. They spoke of peace and cooperation, but Admiral Grant kept noticing small things that worried her. The way they looked at humans, the terms they used, how they kept calling humans young ones and developing species. During a break, she pulled Frank aside. "Captain, something's off here. They're being too nice while offering us nothing." Frank nodded. "I noticed that too. They keep talking about protection but not partnership." Back in the meeting room, High Counselor Vex smiled too widely. "As is customary, Earth will join as a protected territory. In 50 of your years, if your development is acceptable, you may apply for associate status." "Protected territory?" Frank asked. "We came here seeking equal membership." The insect-like alien clicked something in its language before the translator kicked in. "Equal? Humans are barely space-capable. You are evolutionarily immature. This is a generous offer." While the diplomats argued, Eric Taylor was in the ship's lab studying the alien transmission signals. He had set up a program to decode their encrypted channels out of scientific curiosity. What he found made his blood run cold. "Captain Miller," he called over the private channel. "They're planning something. I've partially decoded their secondary communications. They keep mentioning pacification and resource acquisition when talking about Earth." Frank kept his face neutral while listening. "Keep working on it, Eric. Get me proof." Admiral Grant leaned over to Frank. "We need to leave now. Send warning to Earth." Frank nodded slightly and turned to the aliens. "Council members, we appreciate your time. We need to return to Earth to discuss your offer with our government." The reptilian alien's eyes narrowed. "So soon? We have barely begun the orientation process." "It's our protocol," Frank said firmly. "We'll return with our response." The blue alien Vex smiled again, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Of course, we understand protocols. Please take whatever time you need." As the human delegation started to leave, Eric rushed in with a data pad. "Captain, I've decoded more. They're not letting us leave. They have weapons locked on us right now." The ship suddenly shook violently. Red lights flashed everywhere. "We're under attack," Lieutenant Howard shouted from her station. "Multiple energy weapons hitting our shields." Frank grabbed the nearest communication panel. "This is Captain Miller to all crew. Get to escape pods immediately. This is not a drill." The ship rocked. Again, harder this time. Support beams crashed down from the ceiling. Fire broke out in the science lab. "They're jamming our transmissions," Eric shouted over the alarms. "We can't warn Earth." Admiral Grant pulled her sidearm. "Get the data," Eric decoded. "Earth needs to know what we're up against." Frank nodded grimly. "Lieutenant Howard, take command of evacuation. Get as many people to the escape pods as possible." Another explosion ripped through the ship. The lights went out, replaced by dim emergency lighting. "Captain, main engines are gone. Life support failing," Kate reported, her face lit by the red emergency lights. Bodies were thrown across the bridge as another hit landed. Frank saw Admiral Grant hit her head hard against a console. He rushed to her, checking for a pulse. "Nothing. We've lost the Admiral," he said grimly. "Eric, do you have the data?" The scientist held up a small drive. "All here. Everything I decoded." "Get to the pods," Frank ordered. "Kate, you go with him. Make sure the data reaches Earth." Kate shook her head. "Sir, protocol says you should—" "That's an order, Lieutenant," Frank said firmly. "I'll get the rest of the crew moving." As Kate and Eric ran for the escape pods, Frank moved through the burning ship, helping injured crew members. The ship's structure was failing around them. He managed to get 15 more people to escape pods before a massive explosion threw him against a wall. Pain shot through his body. He knew he wouldn't make it to a pod. Using the last of his strength, he dragged himself to a console. "This is Captain Frank Miller of the UES Horizon," he recorded, coughing blood. "We were attacked without provocation by the Galactic Council. This is not a misunderstanding. They planned this. Lieutenant Howard has critical intel. Earth, prepare, they're coming." He sent the message on all frequencies, hoping at least one would get through the jamming. On the last functioning escape pod, Kate Howard strapped herself in next to Eric. 5 other survivors huddled in the small space. "Launching now," she said. Hitting the release button, the pod shot away from the dying ship. Through the small viewport, they watched in horror as the horizon broke apart, consumed by explosions. Kate fought back tears as she programmed the fastest course to Earth. "No. Anyone else make it out?" asked one of the crew members. Kate checked the pod's sensors. "I'm tracking 3 other pods, the rest—" She couldn't finish the sentence. "The aliens are tracking us," Eric said, pointing at the sensor display. "They're coming after the escape pods." Kate's jaw tightened. "Not if I can help it." She was the best pilot on the horizon. If anyone could get them home, she could. She guided the pod into Mars orbit using the planet's gravity to gain speed while hiding from the alien sensors. One by one, the signals from the other escape pods disappeared from her screen. "We're the only ones left," she whispered. Eric clutched the data drive. "Then we have to make it. For everyone we lost today. For Earth." Kate nodded and pushed the engines beyond safety limits. They had to reach Earth. They had to warn everyone. The Galactic Council wasn't coming in peace, they were coming for war. 5 years passed since the attack on the UES Horizon. Lieutenant Kate Howard was now Colonel Howard, one of the top military advisors to the United Earth Defense Force. Her escape pod had been the only one to reach Earth. The data she and Eric Taylor brought back changed everything. Earth knew an invasion was coming. The whole planet united under the threat. Old enemies became allies. Resources poured into defense and weapons research. The people of Earth prepared for a fight they might not win. Dr. Alan Cooper stared at his computer screen in the lunar dark matter research facility. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. For 3 years he had worked on the same problem: how to harness dark matter as an energy source. The regular science team had gone to bed hours ago, but Alan couldn't sleep. He was close to something important. "Computer, run simulation 372B again," he said, sipping cold coffee. The screen showed particles moving in patterns. Most scientists believed dark matter couldn't interact with normal matter. Alan believed they were wrong. They just hadn't found the right frequency. The simulation finished. Alan frowned at the results. Something was still missing. He made a small change to the input values and tried again. This time the screen lit up with new patterns. Alan sat up straight. "Oh my God," he whispered. "Computer, verify these results." The computer beeped. Results verified. Dark matter energy. Extraction at 87% efficiency. Alan's hands shook as he reached for his phone. "Get me General Hall. Now." 2 days later, Alan stood in a large conference room at the United Earth Defense Headquarters. General Diane Hall looked at him with serious eyes. "You're saying we can use dark matter as a power source?" she asked. Not just power, Alan said. The way it interacts with normal matter, we can use it to phase objects, make them partially exist outside normal space. William Chen, the chief engineer, leaned forward. Are you saying we could make ships that pass through solid objects? In theory, yes, and there's more. Alan pulled up new diagrams on the screen. If we can harness dark matter this way, we can also use it as a weapon, one that no conventional shield could stop. General Hall stood up. Dr. Cooper, how quickly can you build a prototype? With the right team and resources, 6 months for a small test device. You have 3 months and whatever you need. General Hall looked around the room. This is now Project Shadow Fleet. Top priority. Nothing gets out of this room. The prototype was ready in 4 months. They built it in a secret facility inside an asteroid between Mars and Jupiter. The first ship, UES Nightshade, looked strange compared to regular spaceships. Its hull was dull black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Strange patterns ran across its surface, pulsing with faint blue energy. Captain Peter Ross walked around the ship, examining it from all angles. Will it actually work? He asked William Chen. William nodded. The small-scale tests were successful. The dark matter drive allows the ship to phase through normal matter. Enemy weapons should pass right through when the drive is activated. And our weapons? William smiled. The Eclipse cannon works too. It uses dark matter to destabilize molecular bonds in target ships. In simple terms, it pulls them apart at a fundamental level. Peter whistled. No wonder this is all so secret. The Council has spies everywhere, William said. If they knew what we were building, they'd attack before we were ready, Peter finished. The test flight was scheduled for the next day. Peter gathered his volunteer crew, 30 of Earth's best pilots, engineers, and scientists. All had lost someone when the horizon was destroyed. I won't lie to you, Peter told them. This technology is new. We don't know all the risks, but if it works, it gives Earth a chance against the Council's armada. Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez, the weapons officer, spoke up. Better to die testing this than wait for the aliens to kill us all. The test flight began at 600 hours. The Nightshade left the asteroid base slowly. Dark matter drive charging, reported the engineer Jason White. Ready on your mark, Captain. Peter took a deep breath. Engage dark matter drive. The ship shuddered. The lights dimmed for a moment, then came back brighter. A strange humming filled the air. Drive engaged, Jason said. We are now partially phased. Peter looked at the sensor screen. Test 1. Take us through the small asteroid at Mark 247. Maria looked nervous. Sir, that's a solid rock. If the drive fails, we'll be paced, Peter said calmly. Proceed. The Nightshade moved toward the asteroid. The crew held their breath as the ship approached the solid rock. Then, impossibly, they passed through it. The asteroid seemed to ghost through the ship like smoke. Cheers broke out on the bridge. Test 2, Peter said. Weapons. They positioned near an uninhabited asteroid. Maria charged the Eclipse cannon. Target locked, she said. Firing in 3, 2, 1. A beam of dark blue energy shot from the ship. When it hit the asteroid, there was no explosion. Instead, the rock simply came apart, breaking into smaller and smaller pieces until nothing remained but dust. The tests continued for hours. By the end, everyone was tired but excited. The technology worked. They could build a fleet that could fight back against the Council. When they returned to the base, General Hall was waiting. Her face was grim. Our long-range sensors just picked up the Council fleet, she said. They'll reach Earth in 6 months. Peter looked at her. How many ships? Over 300. Our conventional fleet won't stand a chance. Then we need more ships like the Nightshade. General Hall nodded. We've already started production on 11 more. Admiral Lisa Wright will command the Shadow Fleet. News of the invasion spread quickly. Earth's conventional fleet prepared for battle, knowing they were likely sacrificing themselves to buy time. Meanwhile, the Shadow Fleet grew in secret. William Chen worked without rest, improving the dark matter technology. he managed to create a smaller version of the drive that could be worn by soldiers. This will let strike teams phase through enemy ships, he explained to Admiral Wright. They can board any vessel without cutting through hulls. Admiral Wright nodded. How many can you make? Enough for 3 strike teams. Lieutenant Rodriguez will lead them. 6 months later, Earth received the message everyone feared. Attention, people of Earth. This is Supreme Commander Zax Thriel of the Galactic Council. Your planet is now under our control. Surrender immediately and submit to Council authority, or face extinction. You have 24 hours to comply. Earth's conventional fleet moved to defensive positions. The Shadow Fleet remained hidden inside Earth's moon, waiting for the right moment to reveal humanity's secret weapon. The invasion had begun, but this time, Earth was ready. Earth's conventional fleet fought bravely. 150 ships against over 300 alien vessels. They knew they were outmatched. They knew most of them would die, but they fought anyway, buying time for the real plan. Supreme Commander Zax Thriel watched from his command ship as Earth's defenses crumbled. His large, scaled face showed no emotion as human ships exploded one after another on his view screen. Pathetic, he said to his officers. They should have surrendered when they had the chance. His second-in-command, a blue-skinned Silurian, nodded. The invasion is proceeding as expected, Supreme Commander. Their largest ships are already destroyed. The rest will fall within the hour. Zax Thriel stood from his command chair. Prepare the landing forces. I want control of their major cities by tomorrow, and open a channel to their leaders. I will give them one last chance to surrender before we begin orbital bombardment. On Earth, in the underground command center beneath what was once New York City, General Diane Hall watched the battle with a grim face. Colonel Kate Howard stood beside her, remembering her escape from the horizon 5 years ago. The fleet is almost gone, Kate said quietly. General Hall nodded. They knew what they were signing up for. She turned to her communications officer. Connect me to Admiral Wright. Inside Earth's moon, in a hollow space large enough to hold 12 warships, Admiral Lisa Wright received the call. It's time, General Hall said over the secure line. The Council thinks they've won. Spring the trap. Admiral Wright's face hardened. With pleasure, General. She turned to her crew on the flagship UES Shadow. All ships power up dark matter drives. Prepare to move out. Remember your training. Stay phased until my command. 12 ships powered up in perfect silence. The dark matter drives hummed with energy. The ships began to move, passing through the solid rock of the moon as if it wasn't there. On the Council command ship, an alarm sounded. Supreme Commander, a sensor officer called out. Energy readings coming from Earth's moon. Something's coming out. Zax Thriel frowned. What? Show me. The main screen shifted to show the dark surface of the moon. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then slowly, 12 black ships emerged from the lunar surface. They didn't break through the surface. They passed through it like ghosts. What kind of technology is this? Zax Thriel demanded. Identify those ships. Unable to get clear. Reading, Supreme Commander. The sensor officer replied, panic in his voice. Our scans pass right through them. Admiral Wright stood on the bridge of the UES Shadow, watching the Council fleet grow larger on her view screen. All ships maintain phase state, she ordered. Captain Johnson, you will demonstrate the eclipse cannon on my mark. Yes, Admiral, replied Greg Johnson from the UES Phantom, the fleet's heavy weapons ship. The Shadow Fleet moved silently toward the Council Armada. None of the alien weapons could target them properly. Energy beams and plasma bolts passed harmlessly through the human ships. They can't hurt us, Admiral Wright said with satisfaction. Captain Johnson, target their largest ship and fire when ready. On the Phantom, Captain Greg Johnson locked the Eclipse cannon on Zax Thriel's massive command ship. Target locked, he reported. Firing Eclipse cannon. A beam of dark blue energy shot out from the Phantom, striking the Council command ship. Unlike conventional weapons, there was no explosion. Instead, the massive alien vessel seemed to shimmer for a moment. Then it began to break apart, section by section, dissolving into floating particles. The Council fleet erupted into chaos. Ships began firing randomly, trying to hit the phantom-like human vessels. Some turned to flee, only to find their engines suddenly failing. The dark matter field generators are working, Admiral Wright noted with satisfaction. They can't escape, into FTL. On the UES Shadow, Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez prepared her strike team. 3 groups of soldiers wearing dark matter phase suits stood ready in the launch bay. Strike team's ready, Admiral, Maria reported over the comm. Proceed with boarding operations, Admiral Wright ordered. Disable their communication systems. I want them isolated and unable to call for help. Maria led her team onto a transport. When the doors closed, she addressed her soldiers. Remember your training, she said firmly. We'll phase directly into their ships. They won't be able to touch us as long as our suits are active. Place the disruptors on their key systems and get out. Don't try to fight them directly. The transport launched from the Shadow, heading toward a Council battle cruiser. As they approached, Maria activated her phase suit. Phase active, she confirmed. Taking us in. The transport passed through the hull of the alien ship as if it wasn't there. Inside, alien crew members ran in panic as alarms blared. None of them noticed the transport passing through their walls. Maria and her team exited the transport, moving like ghosts through the alien vessel. The Council soldiers couldn't see or touch them in their phased state. Maria led her team to the ship's engine room. They placed dark matter disruptors on key systems, then returned to their transport. Once safely away, Maria deactivated the disruptors remotely. The alien ship's engines shut down completely. Similar scenes played out across the Council fleet. Human strike teams disabled ship after ship without firing a single shot. The mighty Council armada was quickly becoming a collection of floating, powerless hulks. On his personal shuttle, having barely escaped his dissolving command ship, Supreme Commander Zaxathriel watched in horror as his invasion force fell apart. Impossible, he whispered. How can they have this technology? They're primitives. His shuttle shook as it was caught in a tractor beam from the UES Shadow. Admiral Wright's face appeared on his communication screen. Supreme Commander Zaxathriel, she said calmly. This is Admiral Lisa Wright of the United Earth Defense Force. Your invasion has failed. Your fleet is disabled. You are now our prisoner. Zaxathriel's scales darkened with rage. You cannot do this. The Council will send more ships. We will reduce your world to ash. Admiral Wright smiled coldly. I don't think so. You see, we've been studying your communication systems. Right now, we're broadcasting this battle to every world in the Council. They're all watching your defeat. She leaned closer to the screen. You came to our world offering us status as a protected territory. Now we offer you the same. Surrender and Earth will be merciful. Continue to fight and we will show you just how effective our dark matter weapons can be. Throughout the Council fleet, alien crews watched their mighty warships fall one by one to weapons they couldn't understand and enemies they couldn't fight. Fear replaced confidence. Panic replaced order. The battle that was supposed to be a simple conquest had become a nightmare. Humanity's dark matter warships had changed everything. The Council's age of easy domination was over, and Earth was just getting started. News of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Representatives from all member species gathered in the Great Hall on the Council homeworld of Axelnar. The mood was dark and fearful. High Counselor Vex of the Silurians banged his ceremonial staff on the floor. This meeting will come to order, he shouted over the chaos of arguing voices. The hall gradually quieted, but the tension remained thick in the air. We face an unprecedented crisis, Vex continued. The human fleet has destroyed our invasion force using technology we cannot explain. A Vosk representative stood up, his insect-like form trembling with anger. The blame falls on the military. Supreme Commander Zaxathriel assured us humans were primitive. He said victory was certain. Zaxathriel has been captured, Vex replied, grimly. Along with most of our command staff. Another counselor, a small blue-skinned Thalaxian, spoke up. Perhaps we should not have attacked Earth at all. First contact protocols were not properly followed. Silence, roared the Vosk representative. Are you defending these humans? They have weapons that dissolve ships. They walk through walls like ghosts. They must be destroyed before they come for us all. As the council meeting descended into accusations and fear, a different scene played out on Earth. Dr. Nicole Murphy, Earth's top xenolinguist, prepared to lead a diplomatic mission to Axelnar. The UES Eclipse, a dark matter diplomatic vessel, would take her there. "Are you sure this is safe?" General Hall asked as they walked toward the ship. Nicole nodded. "We need to press our advantage while they're still in shock. Show them we want peace, not conquest." "Even after what they tried to do to us?" "Especially after that," Nicole said firmly. "We need to be better than them." The Eclipse departed Earth with a small security team. Thanks to its dark matter drive, the journey that would normally take weeks was completed in days. When they arrived at Axelnar, the planet's defensive grid was on high alert. "Axelnar Defense Command to unknown vessel," came a nervous voice over the communication system. "Identify yourself immediately or be fired upon." Captain Steve Bennett, commanding the Eclipse, smiled slightly. "This is Captain Bennett of the United Earth diplomatic vessel Eclipse. We carry Earth's diplomatic delegation to address the Council." There was a long pause. You are not authorized to approach. Our defense grid will—" "Your defense grid cannot stop us," Captain Bennett interrupted calmly. "But we come in peace. We will proceed to the designated diplomatic landing area." The Eclipse moved forward, passing through the defense grid as if it wasn't there. Weapon platforms fired automatically, but the energy beams passed harmlessly through the ship's phased hull. On the planet's surface, panic spread as word of the approaching human ship reached the Council. Guards rushed to secure the Great Hall. High Counselor Vex tried desperately to maintain order. "They cannot harm us here," he assured the frightened representatives. "The Great Hall is protected by our strongest shields." The words had barely left his mouth when the doors opened. Nicole Murphy walked in with her team, having passed through all security barriers without effort. The Council representatives gasped and backed away. "Greetings," Nicole said calmly. "I am Dr. Nicole Murphy, representing the United Earth government. I come with an offer of peace." "How did you get past our defenses?" Vex demanded, trying to hide his fear. "The same way our fleet defeated yours," Nicole replied. "Technology you chose not to believe we could develop." As the formal talks began, something unexpected happened. Several Council species approached, the human delegation privately. The Thalaxians were the first. "We have long disagreed with the Council's policy of suppressing younger species," said lead scientist Mortek. "We would like to discuss a separate alliance with Earth." Similar approaches came from 4 other species, all smaller members who had chafed under Kalurian and Vosk dominance. Meanwhile, Captain Steve Bennett made a disturbing discovery. While exploring the Council archives, which their phase technology made easy to access, he found evidence of a systematic pattern. "They've been doing this for thousands of years," he told Nicole during a private meeting. "Find promising species, attack them early in their space development, force them into protected status. It keeps everyone under control." Nicole frowned. "How many species have they done this to?" "At least 30, Steve said. Some resisted, and were wiped out completely. We're the first to ever defeat their invasion force." Back on Earth, communications specialist Kevin Hayes detected unusual activity in the Council's military networks. "General Hall," he reported urgently, "I'm picking up encrypted communications between surviving Council military leaders. They're planning something." General Hall leaned over his station. "Can you decode it?" "Working on it," Kevin replied, his fingers flying over his console. "It looks like... yes. Grand Admiral Kruvak is gathering the remaining Council forces for an all-out attack on Earth, a suicide run." General Hall immediately contacted Admiral Wright, who was overseeing the integration of captured Council technology into Earth's defense network. "How long until they arrive?" Admiral Wright asked. "Based on their current position, 3 days," Kevin answered. "They're throwing everything they have left at us, approximately 70 ships." Admiral Wright nodded grimly. "Alert the Shadow Fleet. We'll prepare an ambush at the edge of our solar system. On Axelnar, Nicole received the news during negotiations. High Counselor Vex pretended to know nothing about the planned attack. "This proves your kind cannot be trusted," Nicole said, rising from her seat. "We came offering peace while your military prepares another attack." "The military acts on its own," Vex protested weakly. "The Council has no control." "You are the Council," Nicole interrupted. "If you cannot control your military, then perhaps Earth needs to negotiate with someone who can." She turned to the Thalaxian and other sympathetic representatives. "Those who wish for true peace with Earth, we welcome you. The rest should consider the consequences of continued aggression." 3 days later, Grand Admiral Kruvak led his fleet toward Earth, his face set with determination. "We will not surrender to primitives," he told his officers. "If we must die to protect the Council's dominance, so be it. Prepare the antimatter warheads." What Kruvak didn't know was that Kevin Hayes's early warning system had given Earth plenty of time to prepare. The Shadow Fleet waited in phased state, invisible to Council sensors. As the Council fleet approached Neptune's orbit, Admiral Wright gave the order. "All ships dephase and engage targets. Disable engines first, weapons second, try to take prisoners when possible." The Shadow Fleet appeared seemingly out of nowhere, surrounding the Council vessels. The Eclipse cannons fired with surgical precision, dissolving engine sections without destroying the ships completely. In his command ship, Grand Admiral Kruvak watched in horror as his fleet was systematically disabled. His own ship shuddered as its engines dissolved into particles. "Launch the warheads!" he screamed. "Launch everything!" But it was too late. Strike teams had already boarded his ship in phase suits. Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez herself walked onto the bridge, passing through walls and guards as if they were mist. "Grand Admiral Kruvak," she said calmly, "your attack has failed. Your warheads have been disabled. You are now a prisoner of Earth." As the last Council ship went dark, a message was broadcast across the galaxy on all frequencies. Admiral Wright's face appeared on countless screens across thousands of worlds. "The Galactic Council's era of conquest and domination is over," she announced. "A new age is beginning, one of true cooperation and respect. Earth extends a hand of friendship to all peaceful species. Those who choose war will find we are more than capable of defending ourselves." The message ended with images of the Council's defeat. There could be no denying the new reality. Humanity had changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. 3 months after the defeat of Grand Admiral Kruvak's fleet, representatives from 27 species gathered on neutral ground. The meeting place was a space station orbiting a star at the edge of what was once Council space. Humans had built the station in just 2 months using their dark matter technology. Vice Admiral Daniel Barnes led the Earth delegation. At 56, he had more diplomatic experience than most in Earth's military. His calm, steady voice had a way of making even the most nervous aliens feel at ease. "We are not here to create a new empire," Daniel told the gathered representatives. "Earth has no desire to simply replace the Council as the galaxy's rulers." The aliens murmured among themselves. Some looked relieved, others suspicious. "Then what do you want?" asked the Silurian delegate, one of the few Council species that had been invited. "A true partnership," Daniel replied. "A galactic cooperative, where all species have equal standing, regardless of their technological development." The Thalaxian representative Mortek nodded in agreement. "My people support this vision. For too long, the Council used technology as a tool of control rather than progress." The talks continued for days. Old enemies sat across from each other, forced to consider new ways of interacting. The humans, with their powerful dark matter technology, could have simply demanded compliance. Instead, they listened to every voice. Back on Earth, Dr. Laura Patterson prepared for her own mission. As a xenoanthropologist, she had spent years studying different cultures. Now she would help explain humanity's approach to the wider galaxy. "I'm not sure I understand my role in this," she told General Hall during her briefing. "I'm a scientist, not a diplomat." General Hall smiled. "That's exactly why we need you, Laura. The galaxy doesn't just need to see our weapons. They need to understand our philosophy." "Philosophy?" Laura asked. "Yes. What makes humans different isn't just our dark matter technology. It's how we think about progress itself. The next day, Laura joined the talks at the space station. She brought with her data from Earth's history, showing how cooperation had accelerated human development. The Council's approach was to keep species separate and in competition, Laura explained to the gathered representatives. One advanced species dominating all others. But Earth's history shows a different path. She displayed images of scientific collaborations, international space missions, global research networks. When different groups with different perspectives work together, innovation happens faster. The Council's model actually slowed down progress, for everyone, including themselves. Many of the alien representatives seemed skeptical, but the evidence was hard to ignore. Humans had gone from a pre-space civilization to developing dark matter technology in just over a century. The Council's model had produced no similar breakthroughs in 1,000 years. As the talks progressed, a new structure began to take shape. The Galactic Cooperative would replace the Council, with all member species having equal voting rights. Advanced technology would be shared rather than hoarded, with safeguards to prevent misuse. Not everyone was happy with the new arrangement. Some former Council species refused to join, retreating to their home systems and closing their borders. Others reluctantly agreed, fearing Earth's power but seeing no alternative. The final agreement was signed after 2 weeks of negotiations. 23 species joined the new Galactic Cooperative. Earth, despite its military advantage, accepted the same voting power as everyone else. After the signing ceremony, Daniel Barnes met privately with representatives from the former Council leadership. "You could have destroyed us," said the Silurian delegate. "Why didn't you?" Daniel looked at him thoughtfully. "Because that's what you would have done. And we're trying to build something better." 6 months later, the first joint mission of the Galactic Cooperative prepared to launch. The ship was named Unity, built with both human dark matter technology and contributions from other member species. Captain Michelle Wright, daughter of Admiral Lisa Wright, would command the mission. At 32, she was young for such a responsibility, but her experience with dark matter drives made her the natural choice. "This isn't just an exploration mission," Michelle told her mixed crew of humans and aliens during their final briefing. "This is about showing the galaxy what cooperation can achieve." Her first officer, a Thalaxian named Jax, nodded in agreement. The old Council would never have allowed different species to serve together this way. The Unity's mission would take them beyond the borders of known space into regions the Council had never explored. Their charter was to seek out new civilizations and offer them membership in the cooperative, rather than conquest or subjugation. On the day of launch, thousands gathered to watch. The Unity was a beautiful ship, its sleek hull showing the distinctive patterns of dark matter technology, but also incorporating design elements from all member species. Dr. Alan Cooper, now much older but still active in research, stood beside Admiral Lisa Wright as they watched the ship prepare for departure. "Did you ever imagine this when you made your discovery?" Lisa asked him. Alan shook his head. "I was just trying to find a way to defend Earth. I never thought about what would come after." "That's the difference between us and the Council," Lisa said. "They only saw technology as a way to control others. We see it as a way to build something new." As the Unity departed, a message was broadcast across the galaxy. It came from all 23 members of the Galactic Cooperative speaking with one voice. "Today marks the beginning of a new era in galactic history. The era of conquest is over. The era of cooperation has begun. To all civilizations, known and unknown, we reach out not to dominate, but to connect. Not to conquer, but to learn. The stars belong to all of us." The Unity accelerated to speed, its dark matter drive glowing softly. On the bridge, Captain Michelle Wright gave the order to proceed to their first destination. Human and alien crew members worked side by side, their former differences forgotten. Earth's dark matter warships had indeed terrified the Galactic Council. But it was humanity's ideas, not just their weapons, that would truly change the galaxy forever. As they left known space behind, Michelle looked at the stars ahead. "The real journey is just beginning," she said quietly. No one who heard her could disagree.